Today on Here for the Right Reasons. Wells Adam returns. The Bachelor Nation favorite tells us what Michael's injury was like in real life.
It was scary because it was supposed to be a fun date. Like, we weren't hoping that it was going to end in like ambulance and like broken vertebrae.
And former Bachelor contestant Elyse opens up about her time in Colton Underwood season.
Was the process not for me or the person not for me?
Then we're breaking down everything you need to know about last night's episode of The Bachelorette.
My other word was jealous, because I think the guys are jealous of Blac, which we'll get into, and also jealous of Hunter and his one-on-one time that he pulled off, which, it was a shady move, but that's part of this show.
We've got that plus so much more on today's Here for the Right Reasons. Hi guys, Mandy DeCamp here with Sarah Huron, senior editor, and welcome to Here for the Right Reasons, week 5 of Katie Thurston's season. How are you doing, Sarah?
Week 5, I feel like this was a big turning point, that cliffhanger, but that like promo at the end. I was like, oh, we've got a lot in store for us.
Not to spoil our whole show, but that's getting my rose. That whole promo. I want to binge watch the rest of the season immediately. Like, I need every episode. ABC, please send it.
I truly don't know what's going to happen. I feel like everything I think I know is going to be blown up, or I'm just falling for the promo. But either way, thank you for that promo. It was good.
It's working. Definitely working. So before we get into last night's episode, you sat down with Wells Adams, one of our near and dear to our hearts, favorite Bachelor Nation guys. And he spoke about Hunter's aggression, which we'll get to. And he also spoke about Michael's injury at that crazy, crazy date, which we'll talk about too. So let's see what Wells had to say.
Hunter's aggression. What was that like in real life?
Hunter is just, from like the 20 minutes that I hung out with him before we started playing, he is an intense dude. So I was just like, all right, here we go. But Hunter also is not the biggest guy there. He is vertically challenged in comparison to everyone else. So I'm thinking going into this, we'll see what happens. But from years of playing, sports and playing collegiate rugby, it's the little ones you got to watch out for, dude. They're the ones that you don't see coming and hit the hardest. They drop the boom. Their center of gravity is much lower than everyone else's. And hey, listen, as someone who is entertained by the game up until the end, I was all about Hunter's competitiveness and rage out there. And I was like, good for you, dude. You want some extra time? Go get it, So kudos to him.
Well, Katie does end up giving him the rose, I think also just for their conversation after the game. And he kind of takes that as a sign that maybe this aggression is a good idea to move forward. Do you think that that's a good strategy overall for this group of guys? Seems to get very upset when men are a little aggressive.
Yeah, which is understandably so. Obviously later in the episode, he's got a rose, but he sets up kind of this elaborate date. And I totally understand where the other guys are coming from, being like, hey, you've already got a rose. You don't need time here. Set this up next week. So I understand and I empathize with I think it was Trey and Aaron and James, I think, were all kind of taking exception to this situation. But then I also understand where Hunter's coming from. He is very pot committed to this whole thing. He is definitely there for the right reasons, pardon the Bachelor, cliche, but it's all or nothing for Katie. So I understand both sides. And listen, I think that, fortune favors the bold on this show. On all the Bachelor shows. And so I applaud him for doing it the way he's doing it,
Michael A's injury in real life looked pretty scary on TV, pretty scary in real life too.
Yeah, it was scary. Because it was supposed to be a fun date. We weren't hoping that it was going to end in ambulance and broken vertebrae. And it was scary for a number of reasons. Obviously, now that I get to watch a show back, I didn't know his whole backstory with, his former wife and his kid situation. So now knowing that, it's even more serious because he's got a lot more to lose by getting hurt than the other guys. In real time, I was nervous because, one, I didn't want anyone to get hurt. 2, the nuance that people might not understand is that once you get hurt and you have to go to a hospital, that means you leave the bubble. That means you can't come back. That's a bummer because, obviously he's catching feels for Katie and we wanted him to stay. And then add on, the extra terror of he's got little ones at home. We want to make sure he's okay. So yeah, there was just a lot of emotion flying around about it. And also like it was kind of an effed up hit. Like you hit him from behind. He didn't get to see it, So, and I invented this stupid game, and that was a big rule: is you don't hit someone in the back, dude.
Straight from the source. It was just as scary as we looked on TV. These group dates are a big risk for these guys to like throw themselves at each other. And Wells invented this game. He made it pretty clear that you weren't supposed to, tackle from the back, nothing was stopping Hunter.
Let's get right into Hunter's aggression. He seems a little too aggressive in my opinion. Those uniforms, I think if anyone put those on, you're going to become a little bit aggressive because you have no choice.
Yeah, but you're acting out.
What?
You're acting out because of
this. Yes. But I don't know. What do you think about Hunter throughout this episode?
I mean, I will say my thirst are those outfits and Hunter's aggression, because I think he totally went too far. I think these guys do get in their head, and, they think they're competing for time with Katie. I get it. And there's part of me that's like, okay, that's the show. But I mean, to injure the single dad is just a little much for me.
Come on,
I'm a single dad too.
Yeah.
And I think the problem, though, is Katie always rewarding the bad behavior. I don't understand her group date rose strategy.
I did not understand Hunter getting the rose at all. I almost wanted to go back and watch it because I was like, what did I miss that she saw? Also,
kids, I guess. I don't know. But I really, even last week, the same thing with, what's his name getting the rose for being the tattletale, Trey. I just don't really get her group date rose. I don't think she's navigating the group dates as well as she does.
No, she's overwhelmed. Also, to get into Michael's injury, I honestly couldn't watch that back. The neck is what I was worried about. His neck went up and down. It was insane.
It was not good.
It should not be that aggressive. They were seriously aggressive. And even when they were what do you call rehearsing, training? I don't play sports, but,
warming up.
Drills. Warming up. When they were warming up, they weren't wearing any padding. I'm like, what is going on? You're being so aggressive and you don't have a cup on? This is not okay. I'm worried about all of you.
This isn't Survivor.
No.
The medical team. I mean, there wouldn't be a season of The Bachelor without the medical team being called, though, right? It's just important.
Yeah, I love them. They get a rose too, I think.
Yes. Well, before we keep diving into the episode, I did catch up with Elyse Delbaum. If you guys don't remember Elyse, she was on Colton season. She was the redhead. She exited in that white dress. She was kind of she had a moment on the show for sure, but she never did any spinoffs. But I caught up with her for the Here for the Right Reasons podcast and had to ask her about Colton because she was on Colton season. So here is her answer for whether or not she's reached out to Colton since he came out as gay earlier this year.
Have you spoken to Colton at all or had any reaction to, the whirlwind year he had coming out as gay and everything that happened with him?
I wished him the best when he, came out with that interview. There had obviously been rumblings that it was going to happen. So that part of it wasn't a surprise, but I just wish some of the decisions prior to him coming out had not happened. But, I support my girls and I support him and his new journey, but I just wish people hadn't been hurt in the process of him coming out.
That is very fair. You did my favorite thing on the show, which is leave. I really enjoy when a contestant takes themselves out of the running. I just think it's just such a thrill. And if I was on the show, I feel like I would just, unless, I somehow was in love with this person, which I doubt would happen, I would be looking for my exit to have my moment. And I don't know if it's about having your moment or if it's genuinely I need to get the hell out of here. But I guess my regret question is, do you regret going on the show to begin with, since you kind of quickly realized this process isn't for me?
Well, was the process not for me or the person not for me?
Ooh.
We'll put it that way. I've definitely been in relationships that, yes, in a couple months, you are full steam ahead and thinking about your future. And we all know now that it wouldn't have worked had I stayed or not. And yeah, I went out with a bang. I don't regret being on the show because of the people it's brought into my life. I think that it sounds so cliche, but truthfully, the friends that you get from this experience, even from other seasons, is worth everything.
I mean, it's just so interesting to me. The girls of Colton season have a totally different bond of how everything has played out. I don't know if you saw those pictures of Colton that he posted the other day in that photo shoot. There's a lot going on.
A lot going on. I mean, I have to say, I'm not putting words in her mouth, but she sounded a little bit, not bitter, but like there was a little bit of a tinge of shade maybe towards Colton.
I think
did you
he's
get
Team
that?
Cassie.
Yeah, well, she's friends with her, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense. I mean, I can only imagine what Cassie was saying to her friends after that. I would love to know. But yeah, I don't, it's got to be hard. You did put yourself in that position with Colton, and you did fully, open your heart to him. And then to have that happen after, it's got to be hard. I mean,
yeah.
Hard.
I think it's a combination of, obviously Colton coming out and also everything that happened with Cassie and the legal drama. And it's just hard. I think anyone who has a hard time, deciding to support, because you want to support him. He's living his true self. It's like really sad, the story and how he was, not able to accept himself.
Yeah.
He kind of used the show as a way to try to change himself, and it was a disaster. And then, but you can't forgive the stalking and harassment allegations. Those were intense. So I think it's a weird situation for sure. And I think that was maybe what Elise's reaction was, but it was definitely interesting. There was a little mood shift there.
Yeah. I was like, she's not texting him on a daily.
I don't think so. I don't know if anyone he's trying to disassociate himself from Bachelor after that coronavirus loan drama, which is a whole other story. But I was like, dude, you're the Bachelor. You don't get to disassociate yourself from the Bachelor. You were the Bachelor.
You were the Bachelor.
Sorry.
You were the Bachelor. Okay. So let's get into last night's episode. We got a lot to tackle, literally. So what were your buzzwords of the night?
So my first buzzword was whack-a-mole, because when one villain goes away, another one pops up. And Katie talked about this on Nick Vile's podcast this week, and she was like, I get rid of them and the others show up. And this felt so much like that. Like they were all sitting around just waiting for their chance to gang up on Hunter, who I don't even like, but I just don't like this group mentality. They're kind of freaking me out, these guys.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And it was funny how one of them said at one point, this is the first rose ceremony we're going into without tension. And then all of a sudden it was like the little ears went up on Hunter and he became the villain. And I was like, whoa, that was a quick turn.
Yeah, totally. And my other word was jealous, because I think the guys are jealous of Blac, which we'll get into, and also jealous of Hunter and his one-on-one time that he pulled off, which, it was a shady move, but that's part of this show. And I think there was a lot of jealousy, the emotions. I think it's some of these guys are really starting to fall for Katie and fall for this bubble in this world. The other half are just like, okay, I've been here for long enough. Like, we got to stir stuff up. So I think there was some jealousy going on.
Oh yeah, definitely jealousy. So my buzzword was real emotions. I think we saw some real stuff. Like when Mike, the dad, was talking to the group about his late wife and how it was her birthday yesterday. I couldn't handle it. I was like, this is real.
Did you cry?
I didn't cry, but I was like, maybe like a little
the
wet.
Closest you've ever gotten in a while.
The closest I've ever gotten this season anyway.
Okay.
But when Greg had the reaction that he did, it made me like Greg more. I was like, but then again, he did go to acting school. But I don't know. That was like one of the most real moments I've seen in a long time in Bachelor Nation. And I appreciate those real moments because they make me want to keep coming back for more, Yeah. It takes it out of the whole like influencer scene and it makes it more like, okay, maybe this is real. Yeah. And then also Katie broke down a few times in tears. I mean, she cries easily.
Literally one of my things that was going to be that we need to go away is Katie crying. I think, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to cry, but I think she's just falling for these little gimmicks a little too easily. Like, again, like I worry about her, like on the group dates, she's picking the wrong guys on the one-on-one moments in the group dates. I feel like she's like way too smitten. Yeah. Nothing that's that impressive.
No, like she cried over Connor's song, which I'll also get into later. But I was like, that was not tear worthy. No, certainly not. So your best line, who does your best line go to?
Okay. So my best line, they both go to Blac. Okay. One is stupid when he said, well, not stupid, but he said, all I do is advocate for wildlife. And then he's like on the horse. And the whole thing just made me like cringe a little bit and laugh because I'm sure he does. And that's like his job or whatever, but he was scared of the horse. And then he's like talking about his career with animals. And I was like, okay, buddy. My other line goes to Blac. Also, though, on a more serious note, when they were talking about her past with sexual assault, I just thought that conversation was so real. And he said all the right things, and I believed him, and it was genuine. And when he said, I never want you to feel a certain way or scared of me in any form like that, it was like, it wasn't the perfect sentence by any means. Like, kind of doesn't even totally make sense when I read it back. However, in the moment, it was just, it felt so real, and I felt the connection with them, and I felt like she trusted him. And I think it's great that Katie has been so candid about this on the show, and I'm glad that it circled back, because I felt like there was more to the story, and she could share more, and I'm so happy she was. And I think Blac, shockingly, was the perfect person for her to talk to about it, and I never would have guessed that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. That was another really real moment. Like, the whole episode last night was very real to me, and I appreciate that.
Which is shocking coming from the episode where they also wore those outfits.
Shocking, which brings me to my best line, actually. So my best line was more jokey, but I'm into it. It was from Michael, the dad, when he said, "This is the worst day I've ever had in my life. I'm here with my dad bod." Aww. It was when he had that uniform on, the sling uniform. And, I love that he's a little bit different. I love that he's not a typical Bachelor contestant. I've said it before. And I think that will get him far, although we'll talk about the promo for the rest of the season later. But I love that his realness and his authenticity. And I think I love seeing him in that uniform. I don't know.
I thought he looked great. I mean, it's hard when you're next to these muscles, but some of them looked a little too much, like that Hunter tattoo. Just every time I see it, makes me angry, and
Yeah. He's hard. Okay, Thurston. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, my thirst was Hunter and those outfits. So
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Don't have much to add. What is your thirst?
So my first is Aaron saying, when he was in that uniform, when he said all those hours of working out are paying off, I'm like, oh my God, you are so thirsty.
I dislike Aaron.
Like, he enjoyed putting that uniform on. I can't. Yeah. My second was Catman Connor's songs. Like, that
was one of my cringe. Anyone who whips out an instrument, it's like
the third time he's done it. He's pulling a Jed. Like, enough.
He's pulling a Jed, and he's not even like, not that he's bad, but like that song did nothing for me.
No, enough of the music.
Enough.
Then Hunter's telescope.
Oh, that was the third. Did you think he really bring that from home? You think?
No, I don't think he really brought that from home. I hate it when
they fit in the suitcase that they allow them.
Like, there is no way he got on a plane with that.
Yeah, no way. That was pretty thirsty. That whole like one-on-one setup date was pretty thirsty, but I almost liked it just because like I needed a little drama.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I think it was Aaron, actually. He was like, he whipped out a telescope. How long is this going to take? It's like, so true. Like, what are they finding Orion? Like, I can't.
Yeah. There was definitely some thirst and some cringe in this episode. My cringe was anyone who whips out a guitar or an instrument, and Katie crying every time. But also Blac's entrance, to go back to the beginning of the episode, the fact that they made Tayshia break the news was just cringy to me. I didn't really get that. I thought that was really stupid. And it felt like Tayshia came in, and just the way they all reacted, and they want to hate Blac so bad, but you could tell by the end of the episode, like, they didn't hate him anymore. Like, they were all friendly. Like, him and Andrew S, like, in between there, like, when they were waiting where they weren't at the group date, they were clearly like bonded and friends. But all those moments of them like awkwardly staring at Blac, but you can tell he's like really hard to hate. Like, he was doing a good job of like poking fun of the situation, but there was definitely some cringe along the way, including blaming Tayshia. I thought that was stupid.
Yeah, that was stupid. And they were all like, is it a guy from her season? I'm like, obviously. Yeah. My cringe was the death stares that went around the room when they announced that Blac was coming back. I mean, those looks were genuine. And I truly did feel bad for some of them, because it's like, they are trying really hard to fall for her. And now this throws a total wrench into it, because clearly she likes him.
Yeah. I mean, you got to be prepared to expect the unexpected. It's not Big Brother, but it's still, every time you get comfortable on a reality show, they're going to mess with you. So they should be ready.
Yeah. Agreed. And honestly, Blac is like, in some ways, the least threatening person that could have come in, but in other ways, because he's not threatening, I think she likes him.
Yeah, I think so too. I think they're really compatible. It's like too obvious to give him a rose, but I feel like partly he gets my rose like all the time. Like, I think that these two are legit. And I also think that Andrew S.'s date, he was great, and they got deep on that stuff too. And I think that he is a good guy, and they definitely like made out in the hot tub and stuff, but I kind of don't know if I feel them super romantically.
I thought she was going to send him home, actually. I thought it was going to be one of those one-on-ones where she wasn't feeling it. And especially because they showed, I think it was Connor and someone else talking back home, like maybe she's not going to see it with Andrew. I think, again, he's a perfectly nice guy. Definitely could be The Bachelor, could be on Bachelor in Paradise. I don't think I see it either.
Yeah, I think she wants it to be him because he's like a nice guy, but I think she just has more of like a connection with a Blake and a Greg.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to give a rose to Justin just because he finally got some one-on-one time with her, and I really like him.
He's the one who played the game, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He was cute.
He had the best facial expressions during the episodes too.
Yes. My rose goes to Franco and Wells for one. I wanted them to get more airtime as always. I feel like they always bring, fly these guests in, make them go in their bubble. And it's like, we barely see them. Franco was funny.
I know. I think we need more of like a post wrap up, like whatever the guest is, like then talking to Katie, like, how do you think today went? Like breakdown.
I feel like they used to do that, but
yeah.
Maybe there's just too much content now. They can't fit it in.
They also used to make them like 3-hour episodes, and now they're 2. So I guess we shouldn't be too upset.
True. No, please, no 3 hour. No 3 hours.
No one wants this to be out for 3 hours.
Okay. I cannot for the life of me figure out his name, but the guy who stole Katie from Hunter. What is his name?
Oh.
I went through the ABC.
James?
What is it?
James?
Maybe. He has like the slicked back hair and the black turtleneck. Yeah, okay. So
he was the box guy.
Oh,
on night 1.
Yeah. Okay. I liked him a lot when he stole, and he was persistent and he hung out, and you know what? He needed to, because I usually don't like the people who steal them, but she needed to be stolen in this moment. Yeah.
Telescope could have gone on all night, as we said.
Yep. And then my final rose goes to that promo for the rest of the season. Like I said, it's like, I wish I was watching it all week. Like I would sit here and finish it because it looks so good.
And I really can't decide, like when Greg was getting like angry and like walking away from the camera, part of me makes me think like he's going to leave. And then when she's like calling Andrew S back and like jumping in his arm, I feel like someone leaves, then it definitely rocks Katie.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It looks so good. And then maybe it's Michael A because he's like on FaceTime with his son. And that was like a lot.
Right. I feel like he does leave when his son was like, maybe daddy doesn't want to see me.
Like that's hard. And that's tough for them to air.
I wonder, but I guess not. I was thinking maybe they could fly his son there, but they can't because then he wouldn't be able to see him for 2 weeks, right?
I don't think they were doing 2-week quarantines. I think they were doing like 5 days or something. But I think it depends on like hometown stuff, because that's what they did on the last season. They had their parents come at some point.
Yeah.
So if he's like Final Four, but it's a risk to, if your kid says that to you on FaceTime, like how do you stay on The Bachelor?
I don't know. And it's not like he has a mom, I'm sure he has family help, but who's he with? Sad. Probably grandparents, but it's hard. Like I almost feel like he should have brought him and just kept him in the hotel room the whole time.
I wonder how the guys would have reacted to that, because they were super receptive. It was nice to see them and have like human reactions in a way that was like bonding, because Katie keeps teasing that her guys like had this bromance, and we did see them like resting on each other, massaging each other a little bit during the beginning of the episode, but then it so quickly always turns back to, okay, let's zero in on our target. Let's get our target out. We're like taking over the power. And I hate that. I've said it 1,000 times. This is Katie's show. She gets to decide who goes home. So I don't like that they're doing that, but she keeps telling everyone they had this like crazy bromance during like her press interviews. And I'm like, really? Because I don't know if they like each other.
No. Yeah. I don't know. All right.
Pack your bags.
Yeah.
My first one.
Okay, go ahead.
Is Greg's resting sad face.
Okay.
Because one, Greg, I was all on board on, and ever since everything that played out with him, like allegedly being an actor, it's hard for me to buy his everything he's trying to sell.
Even though he got your friend all Rose in the first episode.
I think I went on any platform that would take me and said that Greg was a shoo-in and was going to win and they were going to be a perfect couple. And now I'm an idiot. But that's okay, because that's what happens.
You might end up with him. It just might not work out after. We don't know yet.
I'm all in on the Blake now, but clearly I changed my mind based on what happens in the episode before me. But the resting sad face pissed me off for a few reasons. Mostly that he's clearly like the front runner, right? And he knows that. And it kind of gave me Sean Booth vibes a little bit, where they like make the lead's job harder. And I get it. Like, I know if you're like falling for this person, you shouldn't be happy that they're all going on dates with other people. But that's the format of this show. And I don't think it's cool to make it harder for the lead. So for she in the back of her mind is like, oh, Greg's not having a good, she's to babysit Greg on the group date. Like, no, you got to play the game, and you can say like, this has been hard for me, but I'm doing everything I can. But don't like have a poker face, like get along with the other guys, like go out on a limb, like try new things, because that's the point of the show. And I don't think it's cool to make her having to worry about Greg looking sad in the corner.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I can't say I'd noticed his resting sad face until she said it, but now I see it.
Yeah, and he looks like, and then he even said like in his like when he didn't get the group date rose, he like had a mini meltdown in his like confessional, and I was like, dude, you can't get every rose. Like I hate when they act like that.
I know, he is very Sean Booth. That's a good comparison.
And I think, and it's interesting because, you know, obviously Sean got very upset when Nick Battle showed up, and well, it's interesting to see how Greg admitted that Blac was like a threat. I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I say all that, and I know like if they really like them, they should be upset. So it's a hard balance, but I just think he could act a little cooler. And also, I just hate when they plug the musician and they like pretend they care about the song. Like when Katie was like, this song is the perfect song to memorize.
That's one of my pack your bags. Why is it always a country band? I'm all for country, don't get me wrong, but it is always like a male country singer, always. And I think he was on American Idol.
Was he?
Yeah. I definitely voted for him, but I don't necessarily
like, I'm in the fan club, but I don't want you at my New Mexico resort right now.
I definitely voted for him on American Idol, but it's just, you know, mix it up, Bachelor, like get a little more diversity in there.
I know.
I don't know. It's
maybe they're the only ones who want to do it.
Maybe. Where were they shooting this?
New Mexico.
I mean, yeah. How many people are they going to get to go to New Mexico during a pandemic?
I mean, in Palm Springs, they had to force Chris and Bree from Bachelor Listen to Your Heart to show up. So at least they're getting like real names now. I don't know.
Remember that? Are they still together? They're not.
No, they broke up, and it actually kind of upset me. I liked that show.
I invested a lot of time into that show.
Me too.
Yeah, I can't believe they broke up. My other pack your bags is the horse riding dates. I mean, have you ever been on a horse riding date in your life?
No, I've been horseback riding, but not on a date. And I didn't do it like because I wanted to either. I feel like horseback riding, like you just end up somewhere and have to ride a horse. Like no one really does it unless you're like into that. Like it's not like it's something you seek out.
Yeah. I did it once on the beach in Ireland on a family vacation with my ex-boyfriend. And it was not romantic. Not romantic. It was like you had to wear a helmet, which is not cute.
Right.
And like I'm feared for my life the entire time.
It makes me think of Tyler Cameron recently told me in our worst date series, if you want to watch it on this YouTube channel, that his worst date ever was that Hannah Brown horseback riding date because he couldn't get comfortable on the horse and Hannah thought she wasn't into him.
Yeah.
Because
it's like unless you're a horseback rider, which I don't think there's many out there, you're not going to be comfortable. And like, now I'm supposed to fall in love. Like I'm worried about falling off the horse. No, thank you.
Literally, I'm thinking about that episode of Full House where Michelle falls off the horse and loses her memory. Like that's not romantic.
That's what's going through my head the whole time. And then making out in the hay. They also always make out in the hay on these horse dates. And it's like, that is not cute. That is not romantic. Your hair's screwed up now. You have hay in all sorts of places. So
their makeout though. Pretty intense. Katie continues to deliver with the steamy makeouts. I'm interested in how our fantasy suite dates are going to go.
So week 5, who are you going with for your final?
I think it's going to be Blac.
Okay.
And I'm going to throw a wild one out there and say Justin gets pretty farther than we're going to think. And Greg. Those would be like my top 3.
Okay, and Greg. Okay, so my guess, it's really hard. My guess, because we see Greg storming off and almost looks like he goes home, is that Greg does go home.
Okay.
And that's why she threw shade to him with that liking that meme. Mm-hmm. And it's like down to the final 3 and he decides to leave because he thinks she's fallen for these other people and it can't be real. So then my final 2 are Blac and Catman Connor.
Oh, okay. Because he's kind of taking a little bit of a back seat. I didn't see him that much in the promo.
He has to step it back up. And put away
the ukulele down or whatever that is and bring back the cat costume because I think she was more into him then.
I agree. But Justin's interesting. That could be.
Just throw it for a loop. You never know.
No.
Maybe James.
Maybe. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah. And check back every Tuesday for more episodes of Here for the Right Reasons.